you are in the sales and marketing game. You have to master your message, and you have to master how you communicate that message to your ideal audience. Once you've got that as a nice thing, it's just like dominoes. They fall right after you. So 5 years ago, when somebody hired me as a sales coach, and I was just out of the blue, I was a executive search partner, a headhunter at the time. I had to then deconstruct, what my secret sauce was, what made me good in selling. And that's when I realized, being the introvert, decades ago, I was really, really shy, but I was curious and I was caring. So I asked really good questions. And that is the key to success. And because, again, selling is listening, not speaking. And if you're more curious, like Zig Ziglar said it, if you help others reach their goals, you'll get yours. And if you care more about them reaching their goals, and it could be that, your offer is not right for them right now, but then, Susie, who's got, more expertise in finance planning or whatever else that person needs at that time, you'll be forever in their debt because you refer them to the right person they need at their time, at that moment. People buy on their timeline, not yours. I have two records of a sale in one day and got paid within 30 days and taking 6 years. So people buy when they're ready and when it's the right time. So part of getting more business, everybody's heard about your elevator pitch, and this is sort of my formula. What do you do for whom, for what benefit? But that is a pitch, and people see the pitch. And what's worse is when people have it written down, they have it scripted, and they have memorized it. So it's like push a button and out comes this pitch. And is that how you communicate to your friends? Do you memorize what you say? And a pitch is a pitch is a pitch. And unless it comes from the heart and sounds authentic, it really doesn't work. So my advice is ditch the pitch, because people don't really want to hear it. It's just it's mundane, it's trite, it's banal, it's every word you can put at it is just like, want to poke my eyes out. Because what people are always looking for are solutions to problems. They don't care what process you use. They want to go, what have you done for other people and how could you help me? So what you need to promote is the outcomes, the results. What do you do that no one else does? In what way? I'm like I said earlier, I'm one of the rare marketing consultants that have sold professionally. So I know the marketing I pitch, the marketing that I develop ends up to be $1 million brand. So that's the same thing as what outcomes. We'll get more into the brag sheet. So what I suggest now to get to know everybody, all the other GYB members, is like when you introduce yourself. So it's just like, hi, I'm Patti. I'm a sales and marketing professional. I do this. And it's just like, that doesn't sound right. What I do is I help businesses double and triple their income by using my proven sales and marketing skills. So again, marketing takes time. This is obviously I hadn't rehearsed as I did, but I've forgotten what I meant. What I'm going to say is introduce yourself. Like, what key outcomes do your clients get from working with you? That's the key. Because what happens is, if you haven't ever had any training on how the sales process works, I'm sure all of us have had this happen to them. Okay, how some entrepreneurs see you're at a networking event and it's the spray and pray. Okay, they show up. A lot of times they can be financial planners, or realtors are the worst for this, is that they show up and they think the more cards they get rid of, the more potential clients they'll get. Yeah, exactly. So showing up and say, hey, I'm Patti, buy me, never works. Think about, prospecting is just like a job interview, is like speed dating, it's speed networking. I always have to say sometimes, people like to be a little seduced and flirted with. Just don't go in and say, hey, do you want to sleep with me? I mean, it works, but you have to ask 100 people. There was a YouTube guy that did that. He asked 100 women and one said yes. So this is my 7 sales. This is one way of looking at how sales works. So we're looking at prospecting, finding new clients, is you can do it many ways. You know, you can do it on the phone, you can do it by email, you can do it on LinkedIn. That's called prospecting. You're prospecting looking for the gold mine. But all that is an introduction, right? Because the key is, say you're at a networking event, which we all go to probably on a weekly basis. You meet people and you just see if there's any chemistry there. You go, hey, you know, I just met somebody today, he's a PR guy. I'm thinking, well, this WISE 50 over 50 awards, they need more PR. Maybe there's a, you know, and he's complaining that entrepreneurs aren't being recognized and there's no help. So maybe there's a match there. I always see like selling really ideally is like being a matchmaker where you got a problem, I get a solution. Hey, do you want to work together? You know, it can be that simple. The key, where many entrepreneurs, they fall down in the follow-up, okay? Everybody is bad at this. That's why it's really, you know, but that the many touches and follow-ups that you make is the key to success. There's some statistics where it takes 5 to 10 to 20 touches to really get to the sale. Remember, people buy on their timeline where, okay, I meet you, I need you, but it's 2020. Okay, that's why you have an email list. That's why which you hopefully do at least, you know, weekly or monthly, depending on your target audience. I don't believe in, you know, somebody does data. It's like, oh, that's way too much. There's something I want to see to daily. So the follow-up is key. And the way I always recommend it is do the email, voicemail, email. Like, just always do a double hit, you know, but separated by a few days. So you can leave a voicemail, give them 3 days, send them an email, maybe send them a snail mail, send them a postcard, send them something that is less likely to be easily deleted. You know, just keep in touch and just you know, as it gets colder and colder, just space out your follow-up. So like at least once a month, every 2 months, if they're on your email list, then they'll be getting certain touches from you. But that's where entrepreneurs fall down, is in the follow-up, and it's crucial. People literally won't come knocking at your door. You have to go after them. So say you met somebody, you've done the follow-up, and say, hey, yeah, it's time. Let's meet. It could be 6 months after you met them. So you left that for face-to-face meeting. What's your intention? What's your ideal outcome from that meeting? Is it another meeting? Is it for a deeper analysis, or is it, you know, do I give you a proposal, which is the next step? What's your ideal outcome from that meeting? You need to have an intention. So it's not just loosey-goosey. You're not there to, blow chit-chat and blow the thing. Is you really want to know, okay, this person, let's find out really, do they need me? What's their budget like? What's a mental budget like? Like, just, you gotta really say, are they worth spending more time with? Are they worth doing a proposal? You know, what needs to go different or go fast? And of course, after you do the proposal, you have to follow up. There's not, maybe 10%. If you do all these steps, you're up to number 5. Maybe 1 out of 10 will say, hey, Patti, got your proposal. When do we start? That doesn't happen. People still need to be taken along the seduction phase. Like, you still, like, whatever, it's in your best, most highest priority to get that deal. So you have to be the one that does the hand holding and the follow-up. Don't sit back and wait. Well, they got my proposal, they haven't replied. That's not going to do it. That's, you have to put yourself as the customer. Do you want to be chased, or do you have to do the chasing? I know in my case, if I have to do the chasing, is that I don't really like that. I want to deal with somebody who's proactive and on the ball, who's busy enough, but still takes the time to, okay, you got my proposal, any questions? How can, when do you want to start? And they go, you can you say, no, I still have some questions, and put the brakes on it, but you can say, let's talk more. Let's set up a call. We can have a Zoom call. We can have a half an hour. We can go over the step-by-step proposal, because I'm not ready to sign yet, but getting closer. And they appreciate the follow-on. All of us are super busy. We've got so much on our mind. And if their number one priority is getting more business for themselves, and you helping them through a website or a communication plan or a business plan, like it's high on the priority, but it's not number one. And your goal is to up it and go, this has to be a priority, because the more time you spend here is you'll then get more business. Part of a sales of the sales process, they just what I alluded to before. There'll be some objections, or they say, "Let's talk price now, okay? We got over the details. I see how you can help me, but now your price." And that's when the negotiations come up. And so be prepared for that. One of my rules of thumb is always go in with your second or third best offer. Remember, you can always go down. Can't go up. If they say, yes, it's all perfect, and they don't negotiate on price, two things. One is maybe it was fairly priced. It met their mental budget. Or the other thing is, hey, they think it's a deal and just jumping in and say, yeah, let's grab it, before she realizes she gave away too much for too little. So that's another thing which we'll get into a bit more. And finally, and this is a big one. Again, I had a life coach come to one of my workshops, and when we got to step 7, she went, "Oh my God, I got people excited, I got them enthusiastic, and then I didn't know what to do. So I said, I'll put you on my mailing list," right? So she didn't know she actually had to ask for the order, because it was just like, well, she's Scottish, maybe that's something to do with it, but she didn't realize that at some point you have to say, well, do you want to work with me? Do you think I can help you? How does that sound? And then shut up after any question you ask at that stage. When you say, do you want to work with me? You got to zip it and let them process it. And that's where you have to get used to being in silence, get comfortable being uncomfortable. That is the main thing I would try to say, is that this is a new process for you to go through. Once you go through it a few times, it gets easier and easier and easier. I always tell my clients, I wish, when you're going through hell, there's only one way, is to keep going. And there's no shortcuts to having a practice, sales spiel. I don't like to call it a pitch, but when you go through these steps with your ideal client, it just becomes smoother and smoother. But you have to practice. There's no shortcut. There is that. So, like I was going to say, people, what I find is a lot of people talk about their process. They're certified coaches. They're this, they're that. And that doesn't mean anything, because people don't buy that. They don't buy your process. They don't really do. But what they do is they buy the outcomes of your process. When you, for example, especially in the tech field, where they always list all the features, which is like, when I was buying a car, they talked about something, and it's like, what does that mean? Does it go faster? And he went, yeah, it goes faster. I went, okay, fine. Why don't you tell me that? Because the terminology you used, it was torque, and I was going, what's torque? When you talk a terminology that doesn't mean anything, rarely when people ask, they don't want to feel embarrassed that they don't know, and it doesn't mean anything to them. But if you said it goes a lot faster, it does 0 to 100 in 4 seconds, I go, that I get. Talk in my language and talk in what it brings me. People buy for the person they want to become. It was here in Ottawa, Terry Matthews, a bajillionaire tech guru, and he said, act like the person you want to be. And so you always got to talk about, this is who I am. I became a barcode expert before, that was my advertising, my branding, before I actually was one, but I knew that's who we were going to be. So you act like the person, and that's what people are buying, is their future selves, is how can you make them better than they are today. And that's what you have to appeal to their emotions, because it's pain or pleasure. People either escape from pain or go towards pleasure. We live in a very rich society. People don't need a lot, but they want it. Why is somebody buying a Tesla versus a Hyundai or a Kia? There's still cars. People buy value. I'll give you an example later, and results and outcomes. So always think about what do people get? Maybe you have to go back and interview some of your past clients and go, especially after a passage of a few years, it's like thinking back, what did you really get out of working with me? That's really important. This is my example. Excuse me. Bell Canada, and this is, it's got to be more than 20 years ago, where I was up against an incumbent consultant, and I was the dreaded second quote or third quote. The guy, his boss, had said, "Yeah, so who else have you got?" And when I was in this face-to-face meeting, I brought my instructor. Give you some background. I worked for Learning Tree International. I said it was the world's most expensive training. I was selling $40,000 courses. That was 4-day courses, and I sold about one a week, mainly to government and technology companies. Bell was my $1 million account. This was a new part of Bell. They called us in. We drove from Ottawa to Montreal, so it was a full day trip. And then when I said, "Well, so what's this consultant costing you?" He said, "It's $1,000 a day," and I knew I was $10,000 a day, and that's 10 times. And I was like, "Okay, like how am I going to deal with this?" And the thing is that when you think about, I'm selling training, which is an expert person with a bunch of course notes, just like what I'm doing with you right now online. And it's like, what makes me different? What makes me worth 10 grand versus somebody worth 1,000? It's like, okay. So I thought, okay, I really need to know my value because I have to prove. And it really made me force, like, why are we so expensive? And I was like, okay. So this incumbent consultant, has he ever trained before? I was like, no. Okay. So our guy, he teaches 20 times a year. Here's the evaluations. He scores this highly. So I started making the difference, start going higher and higher. Our courses were by engineers for engineers. They were proven around the world. They were given like 1,000 times by 20 instructors around the world, versus this guy was a one-off. And everybody knows the first time you do something, not very good, right? So the first unproven instructor, unproven course. So the differentiation kept going higher and higher. But the final thing was, you've got 20 engineers, and it's 2 days of their time. Are you going to risk it on an unproven instructor, unproven course, or with the world's leaders? It's your choice. It's your choice. I'm not forcing you. I'm just giving you the evidence. And at the end, when we started out as apples and apples, at the end, this guy's kind of looking like a lemon, and we were the exotic papaya, which of course costs more. So yeah, I got the deal. And you know what? That made me go, hey, when people see the value, they will find the money. Right? It's not about money. And we'll be getting into that with objections, because when they see the value, they will find the money. Again, buying a Mercedes or a Hyundai, what's the difference? Well, people see the value in the German engineering, the style, the status, whatever. People will find the money. Okay? And again, when I find the biggest obstacle for most entrepreneurs is they are not confident in the value. And their value, again, is based on results and outcomes. And if you can't say that concisely and concisely, it's simply to get it, then it's really hard to win a new client, because they don't understand what's in it for them. So really, and this is again where I'm going to hope that you pair up at the end of this webinar and find an accountability practice partner, because it's something that you need to practice and you need to get feedback on. And you need to do it not on your clients or potential clients. You need to do it with a trusted partner. Maybe it's a good exercise for some of the Grow Your Biz boards as well as to implement. I was matched up about 6 years ago. I belonged to CAPS, the Professional Speakers Association. About 6 years ago, I was matched up with Helen for about 6 weeks to be held accountable. Well, she turned into my best friend, and we speak, after 6 years, we still speak every week. So she, we match each other. On my weakness is her strength, and her strength, or her weakness is my strength. So we match each other really well, and that's why I've been encouraging you to sort of connect on the chat box to see who could you connect with and say, hey, who wants a connection buddy or an accountability partner and a practice buddy? Who can I practice with? Because, like I said, it's not selling. It's not a spectator sport. You're not going to learn how to sell better until you actually say the words in front of people that matter. So, but when I've taken, so some of the value that I provide is what I put on my website as my client successes, and that I also call my brag sheet, because I'm so proud of my clients, what they have achieved with my help. So this is, and sometimes, especially if you're a life coach, it can be really difficult to calculate change you made in somebody's life. But just like at the beginning where I asked you to self-assess on a score of 1 to 10 how you feel about selling, as a life coach or communications or anything, is there will be some metrics. If you think up front, what can I ask my client to give metrics on? If you're a business coach and say, so your sales are here, you want them to be there, let's benchmark at the end of each month that we coach together. What's the increase been? 5%, 10%, down 5, up 20. Like, you want to benchmark and show your results. And you can do that, for example, as a life coach. What, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your self-esteem like? What's your self-confidence like? How's your body image? Just really think about how can you measure success for your clients. I mean, doubling sales to 6 figures, that was, one. The life coach, I was telling you about my friend Gail, when she finally went, oh my God, I got to ask for the order. She closed a $3,300 contract the next day just by asking for it. I always say you don't get what you don't ask for. So these are my brag sheets. And this is part of what I was going to say. Your homework, should you accept the assignment, is what's on your brag sheet. What can you put down? And it's something, can you go retroactively, ask your past clients, what can you put on your brag sheet of saying, this is the results of what? Because then again, that'll get you thinking about your value, the results and outcomes, because that's what people buy. That, again, you don't have to be salesy about it. You're not bragging because it's not you. It's just what your clients have achieved with your help. How have they felt the differentiation? I always like to point out, people, you want to make it easy for people to buy from you. Even as a professional, lifelong salesperson, I don't think I've ever sold anything. I just help people buy. I've really made that the distinction that what I offer them, they can say yes or no to. If they say no, doesn't make any difference to me. So you don't do, the selling has had a bad reputation because people don't know how to do it properly. They are overly pushy and desperate because if you don't know how to sell, it can be really, really hard because you just don't have the skill set to make it easy on your clients. So this is what I was referring to before. When you think about it, Olympic athletes, how much practice do they do before that one day in every 4 years that they're on the world stage? They practice. And this is really cheesy, but what do entrepreneurs do? They wing it, right? And that is, to me, that's a crime, right? I think, really, if you don't practice before you go into a potential thing, that really is something that you can so easily alleviate. We're in this together as the Grow Your Biz members. You have board members, and that's what I'm suggesting is pair up with somebody, start practicing your pitch, your opening, ask for feedback and improve it. And that's why the first time they say, yeah, it's okay. And okay is not the response you want. You want to say, hi, I do this for my client. Well, tell me more. I have a new client who's a divorce coach. She had your typical, I help divorces through the 21st century. And it's like, yeah. And what we end with is she makes it more bearable, right? Like really net down the benefit. What do? You make divorce easy and bearable, and so that you see the light at the end of the tunnel. Give people hope. And so that's why it doesn't really matter your steps, the process. What do you do that gets people excited? I'm at this conference today, and I was at Innovation Canada, and there was a woman there, and she was so enthusiastic about what she did. And I was thinking of this slide. People buy your enthusiasm and passion. And if you're not enthusiastic for what you do, why should they buy? So that's why, if you're doing 10 calls a day and it's warm calls, ideal market, but it's still kind of warmish cold calls, you've got to be as excited the first call as the last one. Just like at a trade show, you've got to treat the first person and the 200th person with the same level of enthusiasm. And it's just, it takes a lot of energy, but if you're not really excited about what you do, then why should they buy? As coaches, what I see, my part of my duty or obligation is to lift my clients up so that I am their best cheerleader. And that's why you need the support, and that's why Grow Your Biz is so important too, is we have this really close-knit group of supporters that once a month they kind of go, yes, you can do this. So we need support, but your public face has to be very enthusiastic. Oops, there's a dude. But one thing to make sales less fearful too is just pretend it's a conversation with your newest BBF, your best business friend. I think in my case, I've never wanted to make friends with my clients. I wanted to be friendly with them, and I wanted to treat them like really good acquaintances. But I see them as a business friend. And if I just see them as, okay, they're like my best friend, and just talk to them like humans. Don't put the pressure on you or them. Okay. 2 ears, one mouth. Remember, sales is listening, it's not talking. What I love about the elephant is the really big ears for really active listening, so that's the most important part. The small mouth say as little as you have to. If you've got 10 offerings, but they're only interested in one, don't bore them with the other 9. They don't care. And that's a cardinal sin of doing business, is don't bore people. Remember, people buy from people they know, like, and trust. And if they don't like you because you're boring, work on it. Find out a way to be more engaging. And the funny thing is, the more questions you ask, the better they think you're a brilliant conversationalist. So asking good questions and follow-on questions. So work on those skills. Like I said, to close more business, ask better questions. Figure out what questions are vital in your business that will attract the right people and also will sort of qualify them. What that means is if I'm looking for somebody who, struggling in their business, it's like, are your sales at the level that you want them to be? Are you as busy as you want to be? Are you making as much money as you want to be? Those are closed-ended questions. They're yes or no. They're pretty personal. So, you'd have to, again, start with the seduction phase of, you don't go straight in for the kill and say, do you need to make more money? That would be way too much, way too aggressive. But you sort of work your way in. What questions could I ask? So are you taking as many trips as you would like to be? Are you living the life that you thought it would be? Or what's your biggest obstacle? Find out the tactful questions, right? You might start at the really aggressive ones, but internally, but work, again, this is where you can use your accountability partner practice. If I asked you this, is that too personal? And again, everybody has different opinions. Some people say, no, that's not too personal. And say, it's way too personal for me. And that's, again, what makes selling and being your own business person so challenging is that, everybody's different. Everybody has a different opinion. So this is key. I get this so much in my coaching business. When people say they have no time or no money, what they really, really mean is they don't see the value in it. Okay? So if you present to somebody, say, yeah, that sounds really good, but it's not in our budget. We don't have time for this. Well, then follow on and find out what's the real objection here. Do they truly not have time? Is it truly like on a priority list of 1 to 100, it's number 99? Then it's valid. If it's a priority list of 1 to 10, it's number 9. You go, well, okay, so when will it be in the top 3? They go, well, it's on the books for 2020. Keep in touch with me every 3 months, and we'll see if things change. When they say we don't have any money, but we haven't even talked price. So how do you know how much I cost, right? It's just like, well, we haven't talked price. So you go, okay, and the other one you go, oh, I know, but I think you're expensive. It's like, oh no, I'm not. And then you never know. So that's what I'm saying is when you get something that's really just a nice, people hate to say no. Face-to-face, especially face-to-face, they hate to say no, so they'll just say, give an excuse. But what your goal is that, can you just curious, just like, well, when would you be ready? At what time? Like on a priority list, where is this on your priority? When would you have it in the budget? So make sure, what it has is that really they haven't seen the value. As my example before, when they see the value, they will find the money and the time. Quickly, negotiation. The biggest thing is confused people never buy, so don't make it too complicated. Again, if you got 10 different things you can offer them, don't confuse them with the other 9 if only one works. Always go in, you want $10,000 as your bare minimum. Try at 15 because everybody wants a deal. They want the loyal customer deal. They want the first customer deal, like a new customer deal. The season deal. They always want it to feel special. So build that into your negotiation. So you go in 15 and say, well, can you do better? and you go, okay, but what can you give me in return, or what do you want to take out of our proposal? Because you always want to show that you've added so much value, it's a fair price in your mind. So you don't ever want to give up. You might get something in non-cash value, like if you're trainer, getting a video, testimonials, getting 3 written referrals. Like, you can always have stuff that you give up. And the best phrase, if you're in one of those creative businesses where scope creep is a problem, always say, like in improv, always say yes and costs more. Yeah, so these phrases, and again, I don't know if we can make the PDF available to the group, but whether you're a buyer or a seller, there's always these phrases. What else can you do for me? And the thing is be prepared when people are negotiating with you. Like if you're in a $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000 contract, they're going to, need an official procurement manager. They're going to say, well, what can you do me? They're too high. What can you do? And you know what? You can actually say no. I can't do any better. No is an acceptable offer. Okay. When they say it's your best offer, you can say, yeah, it is, and be quiet. That's what I said. Silence is your best thing. Let me think about it. Get back to you. It's always useful to have a boss to go back to, even if there's no boss except for yourself. It's good to say, I'm going to talk to my team about that. Give yourself time. You don't always have to answer questions on the spot, so that's okay. Remember, ask for the order and zip your mouth. That's the key thing. I don't want to say whoever speaks first loses, but winner is the one who's quiet. And asking for the business is really very low key of like, what do you think of that? We talked a lot. This is your problem, your solution. Do you think I can help you? Do you want to work with me? How does that sound? And after any of those questions, always make sure to zip it. Remember, no means next opportunity, and never take it personally. If there's anything, if you have to get yourself, so you got a no, you worked hard on this proposal and you got a no, and that's going to take you down, back to your wins. You always have to build yourself up. So this is my, suggestion to you in a chat box or offline is, pair up and meet, and meet even online or in person and start practicing some of the things in this webinar. What's your brag sheet? What's your opening? How is that? How about handling objections? Whatever you need to work on, you need a safe environment to do that. And that only happens with another partner or a person that you trust. But it's the only way to get better, because your prospective client is going to tell you that, you know what, you really suck there. I have no idea what you do. That was one of my long-term clients who was a Grow Your Biz member. I had no idea what she did after 6 months. Then when we finally had our first chat, it's like, whoa, okay, you do amazing things. You just don't say it. So here's a suggestion of when your first practice exercises. Why should I pick you? What makes you so special? So again, mainly I do a lot of live workshops, and unfortunately with the limitations here, normally I'd have you pair up right on the spot and get to practice this. But I'm just really encouraging you to find your practice partner and go for it. So we're coming to the end on a scale of 1 to 10, where you were at the beginning. Do you have a change in your scale? Do you want to share it? If you went from a 1 to a 2 or a 3 to a 5, whatever, you can put that down in the chat box. It's always good to see the progress that people are making. And finally, just again, who I am. I help you master your message, and then I teach you how to win more clients through coaching, a business booster shot, workshop speaking, and as Barbara said in the early stage, so I have a short bit.ly link there that's called TRES for short, the Real Entrepreneur Show, and we try to expose what real entrepreneurs do and some of the scams out there. Again, my book is on Amazon. It's got nothing about farming. Remember, be clear and confident in your value, be curious and caring, and always think of who can you help today.
So thank you, Patti, for a very I guess, a presentation that's going to make all of us think better and practice. But Suzanne had made a comment about she develops next generation leaders who are resilient, who people want to follow, and are driven to create positive impact. Suzanne, tell us a little bit more about that if you can, or do you want to turn it into a question for Patti?
Oh, I was following directions because it said to post on the chat room. So you're saying, well, I guess, is that what you had in mind? Is that specific enough? Can you see that on the chat?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I just, what does it mean by next generation? I guess that's the question I have is to you is what does it mean by next generation leaders who are resilient? What does that really mean?
So I don't have any issues with the next generation leaders. I'm working with people. It could be anybody from 22 to 62 or whatever. If a company or organization feels like that's who they want to invest in. But some of the work that I've done I did some research and wrote a white paper and shown that a lot of
I'm so sorry for
the next, let's say, the pipeline of leadership is lacking. A lot of organizations have had baby boomers that have been in their leadership roles for many years, and they're looking towards retirement, and there are not enough folks that are skilled leaders to really take those positions. But one of the issues is that there's a lack of resilience, a lack of executive presence, and a lack of drive. So those are the perceptions. So that's really what I focus on.
So Patti, could you address any of that?
Well, it's when people say things like next generation, where is there a way to simplify it?
Well, that's the name of the business. So I don't have issues with people getting that, though.
Okay.
So I appreciate that you all may not get that, but the people that I reach out to, they get that.
Okay. All right. And again, when I was talking about benchmarks, can you prove where you've gone? How they started with a 0 leadership potential and now they're at 10s, or how can you show the effectiveness?
So I wrote down some notes on that, but typically when I coach, let's say I coach people, but I also offer programming around that, I will have them self-rate their competencies and then self-rate them again midterm at the end. Yep. So it does shift movement.
Good.
Any questions for Patti? Patti, I have a question for the whole group, and that is, many of you gave wonderful comments in terms of Patti's presentation, saying they learned more in the hour they spent with you versus full day courses. May I have the permission of all of you who made a chat comment? Can I put that down as testimonials on the website webinar? Just if there's good. Everybody's saying yes. Okay. If anybody objects, let me know. But I think that great testimonials, and I want to make sure, Patti, that you are acknowledged for that, for them, because I think it was very, very great, useful tips, and I'm sure some of you should start thinking about who you want to match with.
I would strongly encourage it, again, practice in a safe environment. Maybe it's something you encourage through the other boards, Barbara, but it's like having that accountability partner, having the stability of talking to somebody each week. Because Grow Your Biz is good, but it's only once a month, and you really need that personal connection. It's, some of our boards, I've asked for feedback a lot, which is how I got away from that S word, and that's how I got. It was actually my BMO rep who said more in caps, get more business now. The title came from my Grow Your Biz board, because sales was just not selling. It was just like, I'm really,
So Christina from Kamloops said she got 5 golden nuggets from today's session. Christina, what was your number 1? Just tell us what your number 1 was.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
And then we'll go to Catherine.
All right. So can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Christina.
I've got a cold right now, so that's why my video's not on.
You're fine.
My top one was the people buy benefits, just the way that Patti said it. I just needed to hear that again, and the way that you explained the Hyundai versus Tesla, because Tesla is in my 10-year goal, I get that, and so that's a new way that I can see how to kind of tweak my messaging to look at my benefits. So thank you, Patti. That's one of the gold nuggets.
Oh, thank you, Christina. Yeah.
And thank you, Christina. And Catherine, and please go to Christina Benson Art. Her work is fantastic. And I'll just digress here for one moment. Christina, the beautiful leggings went to Diane von Furstenberg as she was heading to Paris, and the kimono is going to the UK on Tuesday of next week.
Oh, amazing! Thank you. And I would love, and one thing that Patti said was about follow-ups. So perhaps this is an opportunity, Barbara, where I can follow up in
yes, you can.
Okay, thank you.
The name and the contact and everything, but she's still in Paris. She was leaving that night after the pitch to Paris, so that's where she is.
Oh, awesome!
So I don't have the feedback yet, but I thought, oh, these will be the most comfortable.
Yeah, thank you.
This is part of that global connection that we're trying to do.
Yeah, thank you.
Catherine has a question.
I do. Thank you, Patti, so much. Really, really appreciated this time. I chair the Calgary board, and I'm keen to be able to take this information back to them at the next meeting, and would like to sync up with you so that I can introduce your services to people. So thank you. My question is, you talked about obstacles when somebody says, I don't have the money, they make the excuse, and you said, well, that's because they don't see the value. So what's your suggestion at that point? Do you go back to pitching the value? Do you just start asking more questions? What do you do?
Yeah, you don't ever pitch without asking, because obviously there's, I was coming to the end of my time, so I had to rush over. I knew there was too much here. So it's like, you can always ask them to, what do you mean, you say you don't have the time, when do you think you might have the time? And if they keep waffling, you kind of go, okay, they're really not sold on this, okay? So that's where you really want, I don't want to chase you for the next six years, and because you're too nice to say no to me. Is that you need to figure out, what question did I not ask him to establish the need or want? Is that's where you need that arsenal of questions to go, okay, so we talked briefly on this. Let's go deeper there, because I think there's an opening, but we didn't explore it. So there's permission to ask more questions.
Okay.
Again, never pitch without knowing the reason why.
Right. And if you've got to the point where they're questioning the money and you're negotiating, you just go back in, re-clarify, re-ask the question.
What you're buying are these 5 things. Which one do you want me to take out or reduce? If you want 2 days, or let's do 1 day, because you can't take. You can't give. Do you give up too much money too fast? You're supposedly overcharging them, right? So there's a balance there of, you got to justify your price decrease in saying, okay, but for non-monetary value, if you can give me 3 written referrals, personal referrals to people like you, that's where you have to know your lifetime value of your client. That's maybe worth 20 grand, 50 grand to me. So I can give you a couple of thousand as a tip, And it's always about being adaptable, flexible. My thing is that, so you don't have enough money. How much money do you have? Okay, I'll take it. Seriously. No, I was assuming it's within that, 10 to 15. If it's 11,000, if you're equivalent over that, how much money do you have? I'll take it. We'll figure out the details.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, or a payment plan. I mean, whatever it takes. Be flexible. That's one of our huge advantages.
Great, thank you.
Any more questions? You've got my email and connection. I'm happy to answer any emails. Set up a call after. It's I just love to share what I know, and it's not that hard. And I just want more people to enjoy selling and grow their businesses, because you want to do more of what you love, and it is work getting the work. There's So
we have another question here.
Yeah, so I don't know if you have time, but let's try it. It's from Teresa Martin. Teresa, share your question, and let's see if we get cut off.
Oh.
I loved it, and I thought, oh, it's too bad that I didn't have this yesterday before my new meeting. But I met with two individuals running a corporation, and one was the founder, one was the president. And the meeting went really well. A lot of your key points I realized I do bring to the table already, which was nice to reaffirm that. But at the end, the founder said, okay, let's do this. We're here, and I really like how I'm feeling about you. Let's close this. And he turned to the president, and I could see the president had that awkward moment, like, I'm not so sure. And I don't know if it was he didn't want to go for it or he was more analytical, wanted to discuss it, and so on. So they shared that awkward glance, and I put him out of his discomfort, and I said, look, you know what? You don't have to make a decision right now. Have your discussion, talk it over, and then, so I sort of left it on the table. And now I'm kind of thinking, okay, I've had the face-to-face. How do I follow up with that?
Well, it's okay. What I would have done under the circumstances, and just because I'm older and bolder.
Yeah, so that's great. I wish I could have closed it yesterday based on your.
But I think what I find and what my clients love about me is I'm a direct and go, like, I notice you've got a question mark on your face. Is it because you need to talk, or do you have some questions that I can answer? Why? He's not convinced on the value. Do you need to figure out what he's not unsure about? Does he want more social proof? Does he want a money back guarantee? Like, figure out what his question mark is.
So just to interject, I did do that. And it was that he knew the president or the founder had met with someone else that they were considering, but they did not have a chance to discuss it. So he did say, I just want to have a chance to discuss with him what he found out from the other person.
Okay, well, that sounds good, but you should leave each touch point with a firm date to follow up and a reason.
Okay.
When will you talk about it? When's going to be your meeting? Do you mind if I call your real contact, the one that gave you? Can I find out from him by Monday, Tuesday? Find out a date. Will you talk?
Okay, wonderful.
Try to have a date for the next step and a reason to call.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Give it a week and then just send an email. Have you had a chance? Yes, no, no. Then I'll contact you in another week.
So you don't recommend that sort of, thank you for meeting with me yesterday. It was a pleasure to meet you, blah, blah, blah. Please let me know if you have any questions. Like today, you should wait a week.
Oh, no. You could send a thank you.
I could? Okay.
Yeah. And just say, I'll be in touch in a week if that's okay.
Okay, great.
Always ask a question. Try to get some engagement. Say, will you have your meeting with the president by next Wednesday?
Right.
And you might say yes, no, maybe. There's so much going on. It could be traveling for the next 2 weeks. It could be, just to narrow down. There's don't bug me if I am not going to talk to the president for another month. So
right.
Question. Never assume. Just never assume.